Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to all the listeners from around the world that are tuning into this radio broadcast today. I am Tammy Markee, your host of Tammy Markee Radio Show, sponsored by Millionaires in Training Radio. We are based out of Houston, Texas. Listeners, please let me share a little bit about myself. I am a native of New Orleans, Louisiana. I am a concerned humanitarian, co-author, international human rights activist, and evangelist, entrepreneur and forex trader in a $5.3 trillion daily market, also my columnist for Kish magazine called Dynasty of Dreamers, and founder of Dynasty Dreamer International. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a talented lady on today's show. She's a true example of a Dynasty Dreamer. In that spirit, it's going to be our outstanding show. We are on the radio broadcast today with Ta Nitra Robinson. Yes, Ta Nitra Robinson. I am supremely thrilled to announce that Ta Nitra Robinson is a highly distinguished guest today. She has a courageous spirit like Harriet Tubman and an advocating voice like Barbara Jordan of education, who is a 19-year educator and author of 187 School Day Challenge. Ta Nitra has leveraged her experience into that of an author, builder, and speaker. She is challenging students to be purposeful in a pursuit of education through practical activities. She's a groundbreaking entrepreneur who has facilitated and empowered countless people to the financial and personal prosperity of them in their community. Ta Nitra is a legendary pioneer in education. She shares core values of empowerment, education, and entrepreneurship to many. She has a remarkable career as a teacher and provides creative academic solutions for students, parents, and other educational organizations. Ta Nitra was recognized as a 2011 Houston Minority Achiever and earning a 2015 Humanitarian Award with Phoenix Women's Outreach, LLC. She was recently nominated for the 2018 and 2019 National Life Changer of the Year Award. Ta Nitra has worked with the Houston Area Alliance of School Black Educators, McNeil Educational Foundational, Greater Houston Area YMCA, and she currently serves on several advisory boards for various nonprofit organizations. And Ta Nitra anticipates the release of her second book entitled Becoming the Purposeful Parent, which is set to release July 2019. She's a native of Dallas, Texas, a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Inc., and a graduate of Prairie View A&M University. Ta Nitra resides in Pearland, Texas, and her daughters are Asia and Amari. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today's episode is called Courageous Spirit Like Harriet Tubman. Listening audience, welcome to the phenomenal day, Ms. Robinson.
Hello, 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 and thank you for having me.
You are so very welcome. We are elated to have you on this radio broadcast today. Absolutely thrilled. And I commend you for all the great work that you are doing in the community in the field of education.
Thank you so much. I always jokingly say I am probably in two of the most underpaid professions, motherhood and education, but someone has to take the call because it has to be done.
Absolutely, but it's quite rewarding. And like I said, Ms. Robinson, yours is such an incredible, rich resume. Can you give us a synopsis of your eventful life? Let us have a closer examination of the life of Ta Nitra Robinson.
Well, again, thank you for that wonderful introduction, Tammy. And again, thank you so much for having me. I'm very honored to be on your amazing, amazing show. Keep up the great work. I am Ta Nitra Robinson. I am a native of Dallas, Texas, a 19-year educator, turned, of course, advocate, speaker, and published author. I am in the field of education, and when I tell you the work is heavy and the calling is there and the servant leadership is there for us to do some phenomenal things such as changing lives and children, that's what I eat, live, and breathe day in and day out. So I always tell people, even when I'm not at work, I'm still working. It is a thankless job, but it's nevertheless one that is very rewarding anytime you are in a position to impact children and make their lives much more valuable, and I couldn't be in a better position. I am tremendously blessed.
And that speaks volumes, because you are setting the course and bringing such strong foundation of knowledge and skills, and even bringing real-world experiences to the education spectrum as well.
Absolutely.
And so kids will be able to be more learn-centered when you bring all those different aspects, and as a teacher, and an educator, you oversee the development of the children and implement certain curriculum standards to help them to be better achievers in their academics. And that's truly commendable. And what you share with the listening audience, I must say, is compelling, ambitious journey to success, which is highly illuminating. And it's fascinating. It's such a incredibly instructed guidepost to greatness, I must say. So, Ms. Robinson, what is your perspective on how one can brand their business?
I would definitely say, I always tell people, anytime you're in business as an entrepreneur, any form of business, the best way I think to brand yourself is definitely through relationships. I've learned in just a short period of time how to go out and really develop phenomenal, purposeful, meaningful relationships. At the end of the day, you are a walking billboard. You are your biggest cheerleader. You are your voice. You are your spokesperson. And so you represent the brand that you want people to see day in and day out. And so you really have to be cognizant. You really have to be extremely conscientious of what you're putting out there, because, again, it's your brand and you're a walking billboard, and no one can better advertise and tell your story better than you could.
That is so profound, what you just shared with us, because we are a walking billboard. We are our brand. And the thing is about being consistent. Consistency is the key.
Absolutely.
And when you look at some of the most recognizable brands out there like Pepsi and Coca-Cola, the key is their consistency. But even in the fast world of marketing and the changing world of marketing, we have to remain consistent and flexible, but also stay relevant. But some companies and businesses tend to put the cart before the horse. But we have to focus on our strategies and our tactics and our techniques and our branding. And sometimes we have to have a well-defined, executed branding technique or strategy to execute as well. But we also have to set standards for our brand. It's not just about the pretty flyers, but we have to represent well when it comes down to our branding. So what you share with the listening audience is truly, I must say, is astonishing. It's profoundly simple, but simply profound way of leaving a lasting impression in the hearts and minds of our target audience.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that is truly, truly great what you just shared with us. And Ms. Robinson, who were inspirational role models in your life?
You know, there's some of everybody who inspires me. Just everyday, regular, ordinary, hard-working individuals. People like my mom, my grandmother. I read a lot as a kid. I've always been a huge fan of Barbara Jordan, late Barbara Jordan, and, of course, the great Harriet Tubman. These women solidified a lot of things for me as a little girl, even as an adult now. Definitely with Barbara Jordan and Harriet Tubman, these women were phenomenal in their gift of advocacy. So we all share the gift of advocacy, and any time that you are an advocate, we all know that it's not about yourself, it's about serving others, but it's also for the greater good of all. And I've always had a passion to not only help people, but to be a voice for the voiceless, or for those who may not be as courageous as TaNitra. And definitely, I can tell you, Tammy, working in education, as an educator, as a presenter, as a liaison, as a spokesperson, as an ambassador, I've been the voice on different several occasions for many educators. And, you know, unfortunately, the profession we're in, it's kind of like you have to, you know, silence your voice. You have to play the game while you're there. But, of course, being there 19 years, you know, you see things, you hear things, you learn things, but I also know when to use my platform to get up and speak for the greater good of all of educators. My hat goes off to every educator in America because, it is a thankless job, and they're so overlooked for the phenomenal things that they do. And so I really want to bring to the forefront and bring to awareness to America, period, that you can no longer mistreat your educators. These are our diamonds in the rough. These are the people who are on the battlefield, on the front line, shaping lives, making positive changes, making impacts where it's so desperately needed in this day and age. And so I salute all our educators because it is a thankless job, and to be honest, it is truly a calling. You have got to be called into this profession, because I've heard many people say, I'm going to get into teaching, and, I'm going to be able to have my summers off. And I'll be the first to tell you there is no summer off. You are constantly working. You are constantly working 24/7 because you're dealing with humans and you're dealing with changing lives. So if you take the call, I would suggest that you make sure that it indeed is a calling for you. It is not just a profession that you come in and take lightly.
Absolutely, and you are changing the paradigm of education. And I appreciate your transparency, because honesty is the bedrock of a good relationship, and that helps when you networking with other people and you building that tends to strengthen that bedrock. And so what you're sharing with us, it reflects and speaks volume. It's truly noteworthy. And that what you're sharing about the whole educational system and even with these impressionable minds and development of and giving these kids these educational tools so they can excel, but you are being used as a catalyst. Yes, and so when you're used as a catalyst, it tends to, even with some kids that are dealing with bullying, we talk a lot about that as well, and building up their self-esteem to let them know, okay, well, one day you're going to be an adult. And so what we're trying to do, we're trying to actually, with Millionaires in Training, this platform we're on, we're trying to emancipate the minds of the people, change their whole mindset. So even when you're dealing with the kids at a younger age, and they're able to change their mindsets, so they have this type of academic mindset, they can excel. And so when they become adults, they continue to have that mindset and believe that they can achieve it, and they can have the things that and the quality of life that they so rightfully deserve.
Absolutely.
So again, I commend you that they have to be able to tap into their inner rock star, what's inside of them. Yes. So they can be able to be used as a catalyst as well. Even what you shared as far as when you talk about inspirational role models, which is incredible. And those type of individuals of stature should surely be carved in stone so the life legacy of servant leadership and sacrifice may never be lost to mankind.
Absolutely.
And in with the things that we are called to do, we have to be proactive, we have to be action-oriented. And there's a quote that I like by Dr. Martin Luther King. He said, our legacy should be like, for the compelling necessity of embracing the fierce urgency of now, for there's no substitute for action. And yes, we have to be action-oriented, and that's actually what you being action-oriented. You know that change needs to be done in the education system, and you're going and you're doing that. You're giving these tools, you're helping these kids to learn and apply that. And so, that's truly, truly a tremendous blessing, I must say. Indeed.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is, and I'm excited for what's about to come. Change definitely is needed, and we tend to keep working, keep fighting, and making people aware that education is not just about academics. You have to talk about the other side of education, which people rarely even acknowledge, and that is the emotional side. That is the emotional side of education, and what our scholars tend to go through, especially in the world society that we are living in. So we're trying to really push the paradigm shift and change some things, and definitely empower our parents, because, again, it is a thankless job, and my favorite saying is that it definitely does take some